All right, so this is a fantastic chat I had with WUMO member slash Two Brains mentor, Ashley Andrews. She is an awesome, awesome person, and she just gave a bunch of insight into why you would have a mentor, what it means to be a mentor, kind of the different things that maybe Two Brains would offer versus somebody else, and it's just a good conversation about kind of what some gyms are doing that are successful, and just a direction to head if you are thinking about going the route of mentorship. Which after this conversation, I think you should enjoy.
So I'm here with Ashley Andrews. She is a WUO member of mine, but she is also a Two Brains mentor and coach. And I wanted to talk to her just a bit about kind of what she does as a mentor, what her process was as a gym owner, and then moving into the mentorship, and just kind of like pick her brain as much as I could because I like to learn from people who know stuff that I don't. And I'm assuming that is you.
Oh,
In the
yeah.
brief conversations we've had, I know that's you. So let's why don't you start it off by just like telling your affiliate story and like kind of what how did you get into the affiliate stuff, and then
Yeah.
moving from there into becoming a mentor, like what was that whole process?
Yeah. So my partner, Kara, was blessed enough to find CrossFit way back when it was on the black web. And it was like 2004, and they were doing it at the fire department. And so she got her affiliate or her affiliation back then. Had 3 kids, decided to put it on hold. Her and I met, and I was a member of another gym, coach there. And we kind of have a funny story in that we were both getting divorced, and the 2 assets we had were 2 paid off cars, a Suburban and a 4Runner. And so the skill set that I had at the time was to be a coach. And so we got a loan on these 2 vehicles and bought the equipment, did some research on where we wanted to open the gym, like what people like to do in that area. And, just trying to get a feel for the town because we were going to move to a new town, and opened the door, had 12 members join. And the gym was successful for a little bit, but not in the way that you would want it to be. And it's my fault. Like, I was a bad leader. Kara still worked at the fire department, so I was doing the gym thing all the time. And I was still coaching, and we had coaches. And I have the classic story, or we do, of the coaches came to us overnight and said, "Hey, we're going to open our own gym about 2 miles down the road, and we're doing this tomorrow." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Which is cool. If you want to open a gym, good. Like, I encourage everyone to, but maybe give somebody a heads up.
Maybe. I mean, maybe more than a couple like days or hours in that
Right.
case. Like,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
So, again, like 40 members walked out the door with them. And so the first thing I did was email Chris Cooper and said, "Help. I didn't know what to do." And so he emailed me back, and he gave me some words of advice that at the time I was like, well, that was no help. And what he said to me was, "If you're going to be in competition with anyone, you want it to be them." And I was like, well, okay. And then a couple hours later, he emails me back paragraphs of, "Do this. This is what's happening. Here's my story of when this happened to me." It was the pivotal moment for me where I was like, I got to get this together. Or if I don't, our gym isn't going to make it.
Right.
So,
Can you
um,
quickly define, because you said you were successful, but not successful in a way that was like what you need to be. So like, can you
yeah,
meet like just give me like a framework for what that looks like as like you were successful, but what does that mean for then?
right. So I had no systems in place. I had no idea what money was going in the door or out the door. I had no clue as to do, like right now with my mentees, we're doing our 2021 planning. Never did any of that. The gym
Right.
just kind of ran.
Right.
Um,
So it was
I
making
put,
money. It was like
yeah,
affording some coaches, and you were able to like not be in debt basically, right?
right, right.
Okay. So that's success there, the kind of unmanaged success. So
Right, Right.
So then the coaches leave, you start talking to Chris, and then what happens?
I obviously sign up for mentorship and with Two Brain, and I start seeing through the process all the things that were wrong, and no systems, no SOPs, no idea of even how to project what's coming in the gym or going out of the gym. But the biggest thing for me was I lacked zero leadership skills. And I came to the realization that really all of this was my fault. And I had to take ownership of that. And once I took ownership of everything that had gone wrong, well, then it was just a matter of me going out and finding people better than me, my mentor, and saying, okay, Ash, this is how you fix this. Here's the system. Try it like this. So that was really very impactful and into where I am now, obviously.
Yeah. And so I mean, I'm actually curious a little bit about, why was it when he messaged back those few words of like, these are the people you want to compete against, what did that mean? Because I'm curious from his perspective, from that little bit of mentorship, and we don't need to get into like selling all the trade secrets, but I'm curious why that's the case.
Because you need a extrinsic motivation sometimes. And that was my extrinsic motivation to get myself together, to get the business together. Now, your extrinsic motivation won't last forever. You then have to look at your why and, your emotional tie to something. But at the time, he knew that would be the thing that would launch me into what I needed to be doing.
Gotcha. So you kind of like latched onto that as like, great, this is your fire for right now. Let's let it burn and until I can shift your focus onto something deeper. Cool. Yep. I like that. Yeah. Chris Cooper, in case people didn't know who Chris Cooper is the guy who started Two Brains.
Yes.
He was actually one of the first guys who ever had me on a podcast. And he, like, I thought I was like pretty confident about what I did. And when I was on a podcast with him, he challenged some of the things I was saying in a way that I didn't have what I deemed to be quality answers. And it forever changed my mindset around like how I speak and what I'm saying. And like, if I'm going to say something, I really have to have everything to back that up. And it wasn't exactly as though I didn't have stuff to back it up. It was that I didn't have it formulated in my brain in a way that I could say it that would be understood. And he was the first person to do that. And it was funny because like years later we talked again and I was like, man, I feel so like I fumbled that thing. He's like, oh no, it's one of our higher rated podcasts. And I was like, really? Like I felt like that was such a terrible conversation because I've had so many conversations since that I felt great walking away from. But Chris is a great dude in all my experiences with him. So what is it like? What does it mean to be a Two Brains mentor? So I know the term mentorship has like a couple of different types of definitions, but like, what does it mean to be a mentor to you? Then what are the actual things, like processes that you tend to take people through as a mentor?
Yeah. To me, owning a micro gym or a CrossFit gym or a personal, whatever kind of gym or business that you own, business is business, right? So we're out to help people. We saw a problem and now we're going to solve it. The thing about mentorship is I can see it from 10,000 feet and I can use those experiences that I've had. And if I'm being completely honest, I get to use the experiences of my other mentees to say, and just like what Chris did to you during that podcast you did with him, it's my job to ask you the right questions for you to find your own answers. I'm not there to give you the answer to everything, but to help you formulate what's going to be the best solution for you.
Right. So it's not to like tell you what to do, it's to guide you to find the right decisions.
Yep. So. I was on a call yesterday with my mentor and he said, we were coming up with some 2021 stuff. And I was like, he's like, I need you to 10X that goal. And I was like, okay. And so then I started looking at the other things I needed to do for 2021, and it all just perfectly fell into place. And I was like, you did it on purpose. And he's like, no, I'm just your Sherpa. That's it. I'm just here to
Right.
guide you through this
Right.
process. That's all. So,
Right. And then, yeah, that's good. That's a good way of thinking about it, I think. Like,
yeah.
definitely like the spirit guide over the over the controller, the puppeteer.
Yeah.
It's more like, let you find it out on your own. I like that.
Right. Yeah.
What what do you think makes Two Brains as far as mentorship? Because there's a lot of mentorships out there, and there's a lot of like business consulting, and there's a lot of,
Hmm.
in my opinion, there's some pretty shady freaking people in this industry.
Yeah.
And I think that just like anything, like any mentor that you get or any coach that you get, like there's better or worse ones.
Hmm.
Even from within the same organization, you go to different CrossFit gyms, you get a different experience. But it's like, what do you think makes Two Brains different than other mentorships?
Yeah. One is Two Brain is a data driven company. So the same reason that we track our workouts, the same reason that you wanted to know your back squat in 2010 versus now, Two Brain does the same thing. So we don't just pull information out of the sky and say do this. What we do is, and it's really cool, is each of our mentees get what we call roadmap. And we know through practice and data that these are the steps you need to take. And so what we're doing now is we're taking all this data that we're getting from gyms around the world and using their best practices. So for example, if you have an arm, which is an average rate per member, and your arm is like $300, well, we want to know what it is you're doing so that we can tell other gyms, hey, do this. So I think that and the mentorship, the relationship that I get to build with my mentees, I think the combination of that is what makes Two Brains so special. And honestly, like from the CrossFit side of things, do you want a coach that's never done Fran before? Or do you want a coach that's done Fran, felt the Fran, and then telling you what to do from there? So I really believe it's three parts when it comes to Two Brain. I've gone through
So
some really crappy stuff.
yeah, yeah, I imagine. So with Two Brains mentors, do all of the coaches go through the same process? All the mentors go through like owning gym, being successful, and then kind of pulling the coach from within that?
Yeah,
Or do
yeah,
they
for
or do
sure.
they bring in, okay, great.
Yeah,
That's really cool, because like I know that there's a lot of people who just bring in like a classic business mentor who's like, well, you got to put in all this, but they don't understand the space very well. They've never been there or done it. And I think that's a really key point to understanding what we do and how we do it, and understanding that certain things go against our moral fiber, like
right,
you can't
right.
just have this for sale. No, why don't you just sell drugs? Oh yeah, well, it's because it's not from within our own ethos.
Right.
um well, that's cool. I
Yeah,
didn't quite realize that everybody had gone through that process.
yeah.
I had a chat with Mike and Adi Caju, the
Oh,
guys,
okay.
they run Working Against Gravity.
Mm-hmm.
And I was asking them how they found coaches, and they're like, we always choose coaches from within our program, people
Yeah,
who've come from within. And I think even when I was building coaches, it's easier to take somebody from within your system
mm-hmm.
and make them into what you want, versus somebody who's an outsider who has skills, and then like give them your feel and your mentality. It's
Right.
definitely easier to
Well, and you're
grow
walking in the
organically.
door with the same values, right? So when you're looking for
Right.
a coach, you're looking for a coach that has the same values as what you do, because ultimately your values is a reflection of what's happening at your gym. And so it just makes that whole conversation and the relationship that you're going to develop with the coach better and better because you guys are on the same page.
Right. That's good.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
if you don't mind me asking, what does successful now mean to you in terms of an affiliate? So like we talked
Yeah.
about what previously successful was, what does it mean now?
So we always ask people, what is your perfect day? Because my perfect day is going to be completely different than yours, and so on and so forth. So for me, my perfect day is that I'm a member of my gym now. So I go to the either 4:30 or 5:45 p.m. class, and I get to do the workout. I'm not in charge of the workout. I'm not in charge of we have some different things going on at the gym right now. Like we're building baskets to give to members of our local community in need, but I'm not in charge of all of that. And so I have a general manager and a head coach, and everybody else is working it because that's my perfect day. Now I'm chosen that path. For other people, it may be to stay coaching. They love coaching. Go that path. The gym does pay me. It pays Kara. It affords us a life that is really good. And so that's my perfect day. That's where I've orchestrated this thing to go.
That leaves a little bit of malleability with it. It's good. It's like what success is dependent upon your perfect day. So what's your perfect day? Can the gym provide that? Great.
Yep.
So you're saying that within even Two Brains mentorship, you mentor people to different places based off of what they want.
Exactly. It's all about that, because if you can find your intrinsic motivator, then you can keep working towards that. And so I always have this, at some point, this conversation with my mentees, what came first, the chicken or the egg, the coach or the clients, and so it's my opinion that you've got to bring the coaches in to start allowing you to do the work to get you to the place to have your perfect day.
Gotcha.
We only have so much bandwidth. And so, it's important for me to put our 4 boys, they're important, and spend time with them. Vacation for Kara and I is important. Do that, all that stuff too. So is exercise and helping others.
Yeah. I was laughing because that's the realization I've come to recently with the amount of overwhelm that I had. I was just like, whoa, there's only so much time in a day, and I have so many things on my plate that I hit this like peak of overwhelm and had to restructure so many things and bring people on board to help in different ways. And it was just, it was definitely that what you said there was very true to me. So that's why I was laughing.
That's cool. That's good.
Let's see, when you're working with affiliates right now, you could say it in general, but like, what's the most common problem you see with you bring on a mentor? Because there's got to be some similarities. Just like athletes walking in the door, the vast majority are gonna, take the wrong stance initially when you set them up. What's the common, one of the more common things that you see?
We open CrossFit gyms or micro gyms or gyms because we love to help people. And then we're in this thing and we're in the depths of it, and we go, oh my goodness, I need a paycheck. Like I have a partner or a wife or a spouse and kids at home, and they're killing it at their job, like literally working overtime so that they can support this dream of mine. So the common thread that I see is that we need systems in order to help us create what it is that we initially started out to be. We all didn't know. I thought, our gym's going to be, the physical gym is going to be 7 years old coming up here next week. And so I literally thought, like, heck, we just got to paint the heck out of this place, buy some equipment, roll up a door, and we're good to go. And I couldn't have been more wrong.
Right.
Systems is a huge first step that I see in a lot of people that they need. The second thing I see is leadership skills, is how to, fire bad coaches, build relationships with great coaches, fire bad clients, build relationships with clients. And I don't mean like, let's go grab beers every Friday, but relationship to the brand that you're building. Yeah. So systems and leadership, I think, are the 2 biggest things. Sometimes
I'd agree with you.
Swift kick. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You need a swift kick. And I think I totally agree with you. And I've worked with hundreds of affiliates, and I've worked with hundreds of coaches and gym owners. And it's just like, when I see them, those 2 things are a really common thread of a lack of understanding of either what leadership is, or like an unwillingness to be a leader. And I understand that like there's different forms of leadership, and you don't need to be the same leader, but you do need to be a leader, and there needs to be a clear leader. And then there's also exactly like you're saying, just the systems, just basic systems. Like, I mean, I've worked for some people who ran successful places, but never knew, exactly like you said. At the end of the month, if there was money in the bank account, they knew they were okay. But other than that, they had no idea what was happening. And it's like, we didn't know when we were losing members, didn't we know gaining members. It was like, hey, you need to put systems in place so we know basic things.
Yeah.
Just like anything else, you just need data. In order for you to make any educated decision on anything, you need data, you need systems. People feel more comfortable in systems when it's like
Hmm.
haphazard. It helps build the not the control, but like the coaches know what's going on. They know how it's supposed to go on. Like, you can hold them accountable because the systems are in place. Like, there's so much within what you just said. So cool. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Let's see. So we're doing some weird times right now, and I know that your gym is back to more of a 100% capacity because you guys are in Florida, but
Hmm.
that's not the case around the country. With the gyms that you're working with, because I'm assuming they're not all in Florida, right?
Right. They're all over the
Um,
world. They're from Brazil to Scotland to California.
awesome. So the gyms that you're working with, do you find that the ones who are, because right now I'm seeing some gyms who are successful and some
Hmm.
gyms who are not, and it's not necessarily just based off of the regulations that are currently being allowed. It's also based off of the type of gyms that they are. Do you see any, like, anything that people are doing who are currently successful versus
Yeah.
people who are like, is there anything that's changed for the times?
Yeah, absolutely. So when this all started, we all were in somewhat quarantine. Our gyms were shut down. I don't know of a single place, honestly, that didn't get fully shut down.
Right.
The difference was those that pivoted and looked for the opportunity in what this presented versus those that just were paralyzed by it. And
Right.
so those that took their clients and said, hey, we're going to keep doing the same things we're doing. You're just going to do it from home. You're still going to get coaching because that's what we provide. Anybody can go out and buy a kettlebell from Walmart, but the difference is the coach telling you why you should be doing this and how to do this properly. And so, and those that also too at this point are really focusing on the personal training side of things. If you
Mhm.
can't open your gym up to full capacity, or a lot of them are at 20%, 25% capacity, you still can do one-on-one training for people. And it's a huge growth opportunity financially for your client or athlete, to get to the goals they want the quickest. Coaches are happy because they're getting a nice paycheck. um, so those that were able to pivot and see opportunity versus those that just said we're closed.
Right. That's kind of like the Simon Sinek thing where he's talking about understanding like your bigger position of what you're trying to do versus
Yep.
the actual service you're giving. So it's like when you're looking at the business of being a CrossFit, like, yes, you offer classes, but your larger mission is like you're trying to make people healthier and happier through
Yeah.
this vessel that is CrossFit. So like, whatever, if you're stuck in all I do is offer classes, then you can't pivot when you need to pivot. And
Right.
that's the difference. He talks about a bunch of other big companies that, I don't know if you've listened to much of his stuff, but he talks about big companies who had the opportunity to pivot and just never did. Like they were
Yeah.
just like, no, 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 we offer a phone service, and we're didn't bother to get into the cell phone game, or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Well, and
Yeah.
it's cool too because, like we think of our community as high fives after class or, social events or whatever, but we still had to pivot when it came to that too. So some of the things that my gym ended up doing was, everybody did the happy hour thing on Zoom, right? But we have a coach that's really great at makeup. So she did a makeup class. Like we did crafts. We still fostered that community aspect because people needed it more than ever
Yeah.
stuck at home. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that was a huge part of the success for people that are
how
still
many
growing within this.
how many people do you see coming back into your space now that you've opened back up? Is it like, do you see a lot of members coming back, or is it new faces, or is it mainly just the returning? Like what's the situation? Because not all of us are there.
Right. Yeah. We're probably at 90% of our members are back. We still have, 10% that's online. As far as growth goes, we are choosing to do growth slowly. And we don't want to overwhelm our existing members with new people coming in the door. We've decided to cap classes just because we've found that coaching is better when we say 12 people only, and distancing is good. So we're choosing to move slowly with that. So
Okay.
it just depends on, I think, what you're looking for.
Right. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Um, just like a basic question. What do you think is a reasonable amount of money to spend on a mentor? So like I think just a very realistic like, oh, okay, I need a mentor. What does that mean? Does that mean I'm just curious, what does that mean
Yeah.
to you?
Yeah. So there's two things when it comes to this. A mentor or anything you purchase is my philosophy. My mentor said this to me. I should get an ROI or rate of investment in about 3 months. So if I don't make a purchase, whatever it is, if I don't see the value in what I've done 3 times the amount in 3 months, then it's not worth it. Then I need to scrap that, whatever that thing is that I'm doing, whatever the purchase that I made. So, and I listened to a TED talk a long time ago, and I wish I could find it. I need to find it because it made so much sense to me. As kids, as young adults, we have mentors all the time, right? We have parents, we have coaches, we have teachers. Then we get to a place in life where we graduate college and we get a degree and we go out and maybe have a career in what this thing was that we got a degree in. We stopped getting mentored when that happened. And I don't know why. If you're a professional at anything, you have a coach for life. You're a professional CrossFitter, basketball player, whatever. So this TED Talk doctor said, I want to become the best neurosurgeon in the world. So I'm going to get a mentor that's going to watch me do surgery, and he's going to then review my surgery and give me feedback. And this guy ended up being the best neurosurgeon in the world. So I think whatever place we are in life, Kara is a battalion chief for the fire department. And I finally got her on board with this. Like, you need a mentor too for anything that excites you in life. What is it that you want to do next? And I think we should just have mentors for life. Find people that are better than you and surround yourself with them.
Yeah, I like that. And so I mean, I like also the basic thing of just like 3 times the return of the return on an investment in 3 months. I like that.
Right.
It's good. Cool.
That's why we do programming, right?
Yeah.
We are not equipped. It's the return of value that we get on your programming is phenomenal. And so I tell my mentees this, like, a cleaner and a programmer need to be in the top things that you're doing, because it's going to free up your bandwidth to grow your business.
Awesome.
Yeah.
A cleaner. The cleaner one's good. I mean, the programmer too, but I love the cleaner one because it's like, it's so basic, but people totally underrate the value of somebody just that off your mind of like cleaning. My dad recently moved onto my property, and he puts out the trash for me, and just once a week. I mean, we have like a really long driveway that he has to throw it in this truck and drive it down, but like that little bit off my consciousness allows me to, like, it frees up a ton. And I realize that the day that I think about the trash, I'm like, oh, it's already there, like how relieved I am and how much I can actually do there. And it's like these little things that you don't really realize that take up so much your psyche.
Well, and it's also too, you should look at the things that we do this exercise where things that you loathe and things that you love. Quit doing the things that you loathe. There's somebody else out there that can do them for you, so that you can do more of what you love in order to just working towards that perfect day.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna do one more, and then well, we can not hold you for too long. But
Okay.
so change is really hard
Mhm.
for a lot of people, especially within like an organization where there's a bunch of coaches with mentalities, members who believe a certain thing. And I know personally from being a programmer and having a company that does what we do, like oftentimes what people, when they transition to what we do, it's different because of whatever they were doing in the past. Do you have any like, and even probably when you were mentoring, like you go in and you implement systems that previously weren't there. So that's change. And I'm
Mhm.
assuming you get pushback. So like, what would you say are some tips for accomplishing positive change in a way that people can hear it? Is there something that you do that makes it so the change is easier, or do you just kind of have to suck it up and do it?
Yeah. So I always make sure when I start off with a mentee in the very beginning of what we call ramp up, I make sure that they tell their staff and they tell the members of their gym what they're doing. So being open and honest about the change that's coming helps them everyone go through it better. And what ends up happening is once you have that conversation, the staff and the gym members start to pick up on the little things like, oh, hey, a coach is here 15 minutes early every single time. Or I like the music that's playing. I'm not embarrassed by, because I think that's sometimes the hardest thing for coaches. There's not profanity in it or whatever you want your gym to be. So I think being open and honest, having conversations about what's to come just opens the door for everybody
Right.
to start to see the change happening.
So just like complete honesty right from the beginning.
Yeah.
I,
People
I
are
I think that's a pretty
scared.
good motto to go by in
Yeah.
general.
My life, I have some like about 5 pivotal moments in my life. And one of them was when I learned to have hard conversations or
Mm.
conversations that I was uncomfortable having. And man, I avoided them for probably the first 38 years of my life. And then when I got to the point where I was like, just have the conversation, it's usually never as bad as what my brain makes it out to be. But all the other things that happened after that just was like a cakewalk, really.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's interesting. You come from a different perspective than I've always been the person who I'm going to be in your face about the hard conversation, and I'm going to have it in front of whoever's around at inappropriate times in an inappropriate way. So my learning had to come in like, yeah, it's good to have those hard conversations, but it has to be in a way that they can hear, so
Yeah.
like you can't attack somebody with a hard conversation. You can't surprise them with it. You can't do it in a place where they feel uncomfortable. So I had to learn the opposite of like how to pull it back and wait and not just like, it was funny because like growing up as a young man who was always told he's awesome, like you very rarely take into account everyone around you. And it
Mm.
it it took like having kids and having a strong, powerful wife to like put me in my place a couple of times, be like, yeah, you're an idiot, man. Like you gotta pull it back, and you find you're so much more effective in communication and all that stuff when you can say something in a way that people can hear it. And if you never say it, they never can hear it. And if you always say it and are unwilling to back down, they can also never hear it. So it's kind of like
Right.
people come at it from two different spectrums. And I
Yeah.
like hearing from yours. It's like once I finally started saying it, I got so much more done.
Right.
Yeah. And I was like, once I finally learned to shut up, I got so much more done.
That's funny because Karen, I'm the like I had to learn. She's like, well, let me just have the conversation with all the firemen at one time, So like coming,
Right.
so I learned from her how to do that, and so
Nice. And hopefully she learned from you to maybe not have it all the time.
right.
Cool. Well, where can people find you if they want to find you specifically? Is that possible, or do they go through the
Yeah.
Two Brains process?
Yeah. So if they want to reach out to me, they 100% can. I will give you my email. It's ashley.andrews@twobrainbusiness.com. You can find me on social media, find my gym, CrossFit Nika, or they can just reach out to To Brain itself, and they will everyone gets a free call with a mentor, and to learn more about the process and really just help them solve like a fire that's happening right now, because we can't
Gotta love a
fix
fire.
things. Yeah, gotta fix the fire, and then we can move on from there. So everybody gets one of those for sure.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for taking the
Yeah,
time out of your day
absolutely.
and making it happen.
Yeah, this is really fun. I appreciate it.